Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. This is just impromptu. I don't know how long I'm going to be up here. I actually have a meeting coming up soon today. I'll try to come back later on. Good morning to you. If you're coming in, please hit that like button. I'm not looking at the chat right now. I just have some things on my mind. I'll read the chat in a minute. I was watching the debate from last night on the Prophet of Thought series. Shout out, I call him Professor X. Shout out to Professor X and everyone that was there. Actually, I do need to look at the chat to make sure if anybody's posting something there. Let's see, I don't see you all's comments yet. But if you are here, just put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me and everything. It may be a little slow on my computer or whatnot. What's going on? Good morning, Nameless. But I'm going to go back to not watching the chat. Put a 1 if you can hear me, though. But, yeah. So I appreciate TPOT for putting that together. It was between Mike V and the Hoodservative. I believe his name is David Johnson on here. So y'all kind of already know. Nameless, you kind of already know where I'm going. So I was watching it. I didn't get to see the end of it where they were talking with, I think, Lil, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, Lil Big Nate. Thank you, y'all, for putting a 1 there. Lil Big Nate came in, and a few other people came in. So I didn't catch the last 30 minutes or so, but either way, it don't matter. What I heard at the beginning from the Hoodservative, first of all, that's already an issue. I have an issue with that, but I'll move on. The Hoodservative and Mike V. So I have no problems with what Mike V was saying. His arguments were cogent. He stuck to the point. He said what he needed to say. And from a progressive standpoint, whether he's a progressive or not, the arguments that he laid out from beginning to end were historical, were referenced, and gave a very, even though they were very concise, which is what I like about Mike V, and I'm learning to do that myself, to be more concise with the information that I give, but he was also comprehensive. And that's what I liked about it. He didn't talk, I don't think, really at all about a specific demographic of people, which is what the Hoodservative did initially. Thank you, Malika. How you doing, babe? What's going on, Sachi? Black Uru, Miss G, how y'all doing in the chat? I see you now. But he did not do that. He went on talking about, these fat women. And guess what? Fat women. I'm like, nigga, what the hell? Okay, they fat. They probably got high blood pressure and high cholesterol. Okay, you ain't with them. So what it matter? And at the same time, if they got them issues going on, what the hell they got to do with policy? Last time I checked, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm about to bust off. Conservative and progressive, liberal, Democrat, Republican, independent, whatever you want to say, as far as it comes to politics, it deals with policy. It deals with law and order. But first, before you can say order, you have to have a law in place. So I absolutely agree. In the comment I put in the comment section under the video, all I could really say at that time was excellent debate. From what I understand, from what I saw, and of course I have to go back and because I'm doing this impromptu, as you can see in the title. The link for the video is in the description box. But it's impromptu. But from what I could tell, I really don't need to see the rest of it. 30 minutes left. I mean, I can go back and watch it, but from what I saw, it is what it is. And Mike V won that hands down. Hands down, he won that. He stayed to the point. He made his points consistently over and over again. One question he asked, which is a question I have asked: when have Black so-called conservatives ever been successful or have ever, been, I forget how he said it, I'm paraphrasing, but when has it ever been good for a Black conservative? What the hell are you conserving? Basically, is what I be wanting to know. What are you conserving? And this goes straight into the social dominance theory, which is why I have that also. Those are links to part 1 and part 2 I did with Nameless Protagonist. Shout out to him. I have those links in the description box as well. He will be on TPOT tonight. I have that link in there, as well as a co-ed debate that will be going on subsequently after he finishes on there. So y'all check that out as well. But this goes to like the social dominance theory. Social dominance theory is something that a conservative would love to get their hands on to understand. But if you're not a conservative who understands the initial policy and historical references of conservatism, then you are not eligible to talk about social dominance. You need to basically leave that for the big dogs. You stay on the porch. So social dominance, what we just talked about last Friday, was in a way determining somebody's value. Who has the value to be eligible, or who has the value to obtain certain rewards, certain mechanisms that would make their life progress into the future. So like I said, a conservative would like to use social dominance theory to their own, understanding, which a lot of them have, the ones that have recognized its effectiveness. We are already seeing it being used. However, when you look at the people doing the research on social dominance theory, they're coming from liberal countries where out of wedlock birth rates off the chain. Okay. And we also look at how social dominance theory plays into a lot of the policies. I thought about the social dominance theory and how it plays into a lot of the policies that might be brought up. For instance, UBI. And a conservative will always say, particularly a Black conservative. Remember, y'all, I'm not looking at the chat, but peace to everybody that's coming in. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I gotta get this out, okay? But when you look at UBI, for instance, most conservatives will say, oh, well, this is a way to just reward bad behavior. You rewarding bad behavior, and that's not good, because you got fat people and these fat women. I ain't trying to be with these fat women. What the hell the fat women got to do with you? If you don't like fat women, keep it moving. Go get you a skinny bra somewhere. Like, kick rocks. What they got to do with anything? UBI is about understanding what is coming. Progressives are about, from what my understanding, I can only go off my understanding of what I have read and what I have heard and what I have cross-referenced. And so what I'm saying is, from a progressive standpoint, it seems as though they're looking into the future and seeing what is coming and how do we prepare this society to help those who will probably, I'm going to be honest, who will probably die. Not be po on the street, not be homeless begging in front of Walmart, not be homeless begging in front of the gas station and popping up on you when you're trying to pump your 20 on number 3. No, I'm talking about you ain't here no more. Go look at the thumbnail of my previous video. Winter is coming. And I ain't talking about the climatic changes. It's a metaphor for what is coming. Okay. And people up here who know what they're talking about need way more support than what they are getting, particularly people like Mike V. Okay. BGS, the Nameless Protagonist, Kendra, Angry Man. I'm going down the list, even though people with smaller channels. Because things that Hoodservative was talking about didn't make no damn sense. Every time something came up, he wanted to go back to individualism. Rugged individualism ain't gonna do nothing coming into what we're going into right now. And I appreciated Mike V for consistently. He talked about Michael Tubbs up in Stockton, California. I've talked about Michael Tubbs up in Stockton, California, and how the palm-colored people wanted to act like he was crazy when he was talking about UBI a couple of years ago. And I saw that. I was like, okay, this is something that's coming. Why? Let me look it up. When I looked it up, I realized why it was coming. Why UBI needs to come, because there are things happening, different technological advancements that you would not anticipate if you're not on the cusp of reading and analyzing what has happened every single time there's been an industrial change or shift. So that's pretty much what I want to say on the debate. Another thing I wanted to point out was a lot of people do this, not just conservatives, because I'm not just keeping it within the party thing or political ideology thing. A lot of people who ain't got nothing to say, they will talk over you. And he did that a lot. And I ain't got nothing personal against Hoodservative. I don't know like that. But you gotta, if you're gonna come to a debate, you at least have to have some kind of reference point and not just a bunch of talking points. A reference point is a reference. It is a piece of policy. It is a book or a series of books. And I'm tired of motherfuckers coming on here and ain't read nothing and ain't figured out nothing or don't have any kind of foresight or wisdom, or are not putting themselves in a position to be around people who have wisdom to gain some information and use that to push forward and develop a solution to a problem. There are very simple problems. Okay? Very simple problems that the conservatives, which Mike brought up, very simple things that can be solved very simply. If they're initiated and executed properly, it would take time, but over time, a very small piece of snow builds into a huge snowball that can knock down a window in a house, knock a door down of a house once it gets down the hill. A very small piece of snow, a little snowball, can roll and roll and roll down a hill until it's the size of a car. And it has very powerful implications with that. But you have to get the kinetics going. This potential energy bullshit ain't working. And that's what I saw. That's what I heard from the Hoodservative. A lot of potential energy, not a lot of kinetic energy. Not a lot of inertia that he wants to, or a lot of energy he wants to put into that ball to get it rolling down the hill. He just want to complain. And that's a problem. Because it also indicates, once again, it reiterates to me, you're not well versed in your own party's definition or ideology. And if you're not versed in the party's definition or ideology, how are you going to develop a solution to the problem? This is why you cannot develop a solution to the problem. Rugged individualism does not work. It's been shown over and over. I like the fact that Mike V came with 3 specific areas of contention: policy, politics, the social aspect of everything, and the economic aspect of it. I would flip it the other way. You know, I'll flip it around a little bit, but, you know, I would start with the economics, then the policy, then the social aspects of everything. But that's just me. You know, we may think differently on that. And I have no problem, because I'm looking at it from his perspective. It makes sense, you know, from what he presented, that order of operations made sense. Policy, social things, and or social implications, and then followed by the economics of it. So I don't know why, you know, people don't listen. Like, and then another thing, when people tell you something and it's their field, and that's the field they work in, they've been working in for almost a decade, and you be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, you need to shut the fuck up, because you don't know what you're talking about. It behooves you, if you don't know what the person, if you don't know what the person talking about, and you gotta go look it up, then close your mouth, go look the shit up, then come back and holler at me, or whoever you talking to, whoever you have an issue with. Don't keep yapping at the mouth when you don't know what the person talking about. Months ago, when was this? February or March, we talking about this thing, this COVID, for instance, because COVID touches all 3 points: politics, economics, and social. And in the future, it's going to touch labor. It's going to, of course, keep touching healthcare. We're in the midst of a flu season coming up. You're going to have people with flu and COVID. And now it's mutated. But back in the day, months ago on YouTube. A few months ago was a few years ago, apparently. But I was saying, many other people, Don Calypso, shout out to him. We were saying, I hope Dr. Dunbar, maybe you slide into our slide. I don't know yet, but we'll see. We were saying this is a very unusual virus. This is very strange. I was wondering why in my job we having meetings every single day. We were having meetings about this freaking unusual virus, this novel virus. And I was like, okay, this is like SARS, so it shouldn't be a big deal. They showing us PowerPoint after PowerPoint, safety precautions, PPE precautions, OSHA standards and regulations. I don't know how many pieces of paper I signed before everything popped off, like really bad. Okay. I was like, this is not a natural virus. And it's going to have implications for a lot of other problems. I remember looking at the slide of the web, the map, like a web of ideas. You know how you make the kids make a web of ideas? They start with the main idea and they draw the lines and make a web of different ideas that connect to each other. That's what was on the slide. In the middle of the slide, it said pandemic. The middle circle, big red circle, white letters. I'll never forget it. Red circle, white letters, pandemic, and a bunch of lines coming off of it. I was like, one of them was like, we're in election season. I was like, oh shit. Another one was, I kind of, that was what it was, obviously. Another one was saying healthcare. One of them said deaths, 3%. So 3% of the US population. A few days later, it said 5 to 10%. So everything on that slide, my point is everything on that slide was dealing with policy. So you conservatives out there who talk about it's about individual responsibility. How is that working out for you right now during COVID-19? How is individual responsibility working out for you? It clearly didn't work out for the Chinese, because if they were going to use individual responsibility, they wouldn't have had to shut the damn cities down with military. So how that working out for you? Individual responsibility. You can't even get motherfuckers to keep a mask on when they go to Food for Less. You can't even get people to put a mask on their babies when they walking around the stores. Got 2-year-old walking around with no mask on, coughing, nose running. The mom ain't got no mask on, but she got a $500, sewing. I mean, she got not the sewing. What is it? The lace front. She got a $500 360 lace front on. She got that. Policy makes these things happen. Yeah, that's her decision. But if policy made it where if you don't wear a mask, you get punished. There's a fine for it. Okay, that would cut a lot of that out. You're gonna have some dum-dums. Okay, yeah, you're gonna have some dum-dums. They're gonna have to get arrested. Okay. But a lot of that is from policy. And I heard a previous debate or discussion on Prophet of Thought series, I think it was last week. Or I think it might have been BGS was on there, I'm not sure. But they were saying, it ain't about policy. It ain't about policy. Okay. The fact that you on here means it's about policy, because they allowing you to be on here. Okay, like come on, just some common sense, man. I'm gonna read the chat and then I'm gonna go to something that y'all probably weren't expecting me to have on there. Good morning, everybody. I'm not angry or nothing. I'm just, I'm just feeling some kind of way. I'll say that. Miss G, we got Nameless, Protagonist. Yeah, hit that like button, y'all. Oh, David Monroe. My bad if I mispronounce somebody's name, y'all. It's David Monroe, not David Johnson. I'm so sorry, David Johnson. If you hear this, I'm not talking about you, sir. I'm talking about David Monroe. Thank you, Black Uru, for putting that in the chat. Yes, Nameless said SDT at full effect, laced with survivorship by. Hey, matter of fact, let me write that down right now. I ain't got no time. I ain't got time for people up here playing around with me. just playing around with me, thinking I'm on some bullshit. I'm gonna write that down right now. Nameless survivorship bias. Oh my God. And that is an actual term that is used to describe what you saw last night. If you did get a chance to see, if you did not, then please go back and watch that. The truth is, I know it. How you doing? He said, not only doesn't rugged individualism not work, it doesn't exist. Thank you. I mean, do we raise ourselves in a cave by ourselves? Like, even if you raised by wolves, wolves have a clan aspect. They have a hierarchy of duty, a hierarchy of responsibility, a hierarchy of needs, and a hierarchy of classifications within that system. Like, come on. You know, you got the matriarch, patriarch, you got all these different things going on there. AB Media, Torian Rain, what's going on? Q497, I hope I was able to answer your email fully. The Underrated Darkness, how are you doing? DJ Moss, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody. I hope you're doing well. Torian said, I got time today. I got a little time, you know. Third Ward Colombian, how are you doing? Good morning. Diaspora L said, one of the bigger issues that we often don't address is the effects of neoliberalism, neoliberalism issues. Okay, that's something that I think you're right, that we probably do need to discuss. But you know what? I think Mike V has discussed that, and I think he did go into that a little bit last night as well. After the debate, I think it was the rapid fire portion of the discussion, and I think he did talk about that. I got a Cash App here. Let me see. I want to thank. Oh, who sent me this? Let's see. Okay, Square One, thank you so much for the Cash App. Torrance V, thank you. Underrated Darkness said, when I be doing food shopping, sometimes they don't have no mask on, coughing all over food. I see that, I walk out and go to another supermarket. Sad. Exactly. I do that all the time. And then I turn around and report it. Because you know how I am. I will snitch on a motherfucker. Okay. I will snitch on your ass, because that's the law right now. In case y'all hadn't noticed, like, you can tell on people for not doing that, because it's based on what policy and based on what public health. And all Mike was saying was, with policy, if you look at policy in terms of public health, for instance, you know, veering a little bit away from what Mike was saying, but if you look at that in terms of policy and public health, that's going to eventually prevent you from having a national emergency, such as you don't have enough people working to sustain your country. That's how it works. What's going on, Dusty? I see you looking. I see you lurking. You in there looking. Shop Talk Live, how you doing, honey? Muwata Garai, peace family, thank you for coming. Yeah, exactly, Nameless. Politics doesn't exist in a vacuum. Black conservatism is refurbished Southern strategy. Pull the plug. Hey, there you go. That's from what I can tell. The Crimson Cure, how you doing, honey? Baby. How you doing, girl? She said, what debate are we referring to? There was a debate last night between, you know, I got to talk to my sis like this. Okay, girl, there was a debate last night. They had Mike V versus the Hoodservative, and they were talking about, the topic was conservatism versus progressive, or conservatives versus progressives. So there was no affirmative or negative on the debate stage. It was just debating both of those ideas and potential strategies, and things like that. So, and how it is going into the future. So that's what they did. And I was just giving my little 2-3 cents on it. I was like, I can't. This is crazy. Fred Holiday, good morning. How are you doing? Art New Style, thank you once again, Malika Mabane, for that super chat earlier. I just had to get that out, but sometimes you gotta vent, let it out. And then woosah it in. But I just felt, and not just felt, but I think that it is very timely that they had that debate after we've done two different discussions. Nameless and I have done discussions on the social dominance theory and how that is seen, how that is being studied. And I also wanted to show, let's see if I can find it. So, oh, here it is. What I was talking about a little earlier with COVID. And this is kind of an update, and I don't know what will happen, but we'll just go and, we'll just see what happens with it. Just keep it moving. So I was sent this link, and it's publicly available now. And so I knew about this earlier, but hopefully y'all can see it. Let's see, let me go back. I don't know if y'all can see that. Y'all have to let me know. Okay, if you can see it in the chat. Okay, y'all can see it. So this is what I was talking about. So months ago, we were debating whether this was somewhat, not really debating, but going back and forth about whether this was a natural virus or a man-made virus. And I said initially, like, this looks man-made. This does not seem like a natural virus to me because it has a lot of, it's not just, people need to stop saying this too. It's not just gain of function. There are a lot of RNA transcription regulation patterns that occur that are not natural here. Because it is, first of all, it's an RNA virus. It is not a DNA virus. Good morning, Asada. How are you doing? This is an RNA virus. As an RNA virus, it has a potential for they say gain of function. I need people to understand what gain of function means. Gain of function means mutations. It's a nice way to say mutant strain, aberration. Dr. Fauci has used the word aberration I don't know how many times. People don't pick up on it. People need to freaking read. Aberration is an anomaly in genetics. It's something that should not be there, but because of the organism needing that change to be there, it happens, and the organism uses it to its advantage. However, when it uses that difference, that shift, that change to its advantage, your ass is dead. Okay? That is not a normal virus. Why? Because viruses usually don't just outright kill you. That defeats the purpose of it being a virus. A virus needs its host to survive. In this case, it's just flat out killing. I've developed viruses that do this, and I had no data. So I had to go back and figure out from the dead tissue what I did wrong and how I need to lower the titer of the virus. This paper explains exactly what I just said, but in more detail. In 26 pages, actually it's about maybe 22 pages because they got references. Li Ming Yang, who is from China, a Chinese scientist, she has put this paper together. I knew of her speaking about this being a man-made virus months ago or a while ago, not months, but maybe over a month. It would have to be at least over a month ago. I didn't say anything because I was like, I don't know this lady. I don't know her work. I can't really, go through her work like that. Some stuff is scrubbed. I can't find stuff. And I didn't have a complete picture. Honestly, I didn't feel like it was necessary at the time because it was a lot of things going on as far as the development of different treatments, vaccinations, and things like that. So I focused more on that because I was like, first of all, if I report a dead woman's work, has it been altered? I don't know, but apparently she's still alive. She's still here. But going forward. The title is Unusual Features of the SARS-CoV-2 Genome Suggesting Sophisticated Laboratory Modification rather than natural evolution and delineation of its probable synthetic route. That means they made it in the lab. But those of y'all in the back don't know. You be like, God damn, that's a long ass title. I ain't get to their point. That means they made it in the lab. More than likely, it was made in the lab. So just to let y'all know, like I'm breaking it down because I break it down in my mind too. Okay. So don't feel bad or nothing. But they go through and talk about how the evidence shows here that SARS-CoV-2 should be a laboratory product created by using bat coronaviruses ZC45 and or ZXC21. These are virus names as a template and or backbone. Building upon the evidence, we further postulate a synthetic route for SARS-CoV-2, demonstrating that the laboratory creation of this coronavirus is convenient and can be accomplished in approximately 6 months. Our work emphasizes the need for an independent investigation into the relevant research laboratories. It also argues for a critical look into certain recently published data, which, albeit problematic, was used to support and claim a natural origin of SARS-CoV-2. From a public health perspective, what was I talking about earlier? Hoodservative? Public health, that's policy, that's laws, and politicians, people who are more progressive. Okay, so from a public health perspective, these actions are necessary as knowledge of the origin of SARS-CoV-2 and of how the virus entered the human population are of pivotal importance in the in the fundamental control of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as preventing similar future pandemics. They have an introduction, she has an introduction because she's the first person on there. And they talk about when, where, all this stuff. Research Institute for Medicine of Nanjing Command, Nanjing, China, and Chongqing, China. And they talk about these are military laboratories, Third Military Medical University. So you have RBMs, receptor binding motifs, and receptor binding proteins that are responsible for what's happening. What happened is you have manipulation of a spike protein found inside the little ball they keep showing, the little Bucky ball they keep showing on television. That's a virus. Inside of that, there's a lining of proteins all inside that little ball molecularly. These proteins are called receptor binding motifs within the spike protein of SARS-CoV-2. They determine the host specificity of the virus. That means human or not, host specificity. That resembles SARS-CoV of 2003 epidemic, not pandemic, in a suspicious manner. Genomic evidence suggests that the RBM has been genetically manipulated. And we come on down, because I'm running out of time. I come on down here. I come down to show you this. They have nucleotide identity, open reading frame 1A, open reading frame 1B, SEM, and then all these other things, which only thing I don't really care about the SEM, A, and N. I don't care about that. I care about open reading frames because this is where the gene is open. This is where the gene has activity right here and right here. They have sequence identity that is low. But at this open reading frame that's light blue, see how the sequence identity is above 80% most of the time, and it drops down. And then this is the genome nucleotide position. So right here is where you have a lot of sequence identity patterns within this open reading frame of the gene. And then they give the different viruses that have the sequence identity patterns. COVID virus, ZC45, SARS-CoV from BJ01, bat SARS virus, bat SARS virus. So all these viruses, bat and others have sequence identity. They're identical to each other. That ain't natural. That's my point. Point is, it ain't natural. Okay. Another thing to note. See, I'm doing something that I don't think Hoodservative does, which is called reading and then comprehending and then, giving it back to the person, giving it to y'all so y'all can understand what the hell going on. Y'all can understand why so many people dying of this disease, and y'all can understand why so many people not necessarily dying, but they have long-term issues and complications that affect their health, that affect the labor market, that affect the economics in this country, that eventually affect politics, of course. So this is only one issue, but it is a huge issue. And I haven't talked about it for a while because I was hoping the people that sub to me and support me and whatever, and people that read, that they would go read on their own. And I know a lot of y'all have, and that's cool. But they say here, when SARS-CoV-2 and ZC45/ZXC21 are compared on the amino acid level, amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. They're very functional and very important. When you have that comparison, you have a high sequence identity. Sequence identity means they're identical. ABC matches ABC. That's what that means. The nucleocapsid protein is 94% identical. The membrane protein is 98.6% identical. The S2 portion, the second half of the spike protein, is 95% identical. And they underline this to let you know this is some important shit right here. Importantly, I mean, she put the word importantly there. Importantly, the open reading frame 8 protein is 94.2% identical. That ain't natural. That don't happen. Usually it's like 85, 87, something like that. 94, that's crazy. The E protein is 100% identical. That don't happen. This right here. This right here. You see that? That don't happen. That ain't science. Science is not like 100%. Like, you're not gonna get no 100% stuff. And let me come to the chat. Hold on, y'all. Nameless said, shout out to the CRISPRs. You ain't shit for that. Right. He said, like a created player in Madden. Exactly. He said, mathematically speaking, how likely is that occurring naturally? No, it does not occur naturally in nature this way. I mean, it would take hundreds, thousands of years, and you still wouldn't get there because there's some mutation in there. We're all mutations. That's what we're talking about right now, Q497. That's what this article is. This is her work. This is Dr. Li Ming Yang. This is her paper where she's saying what you're asking in the chat room. Yeah, she was on Tucker Carlson. You know what? People will think that, oh, she was on Tucker Carlson, she was on Fox News. We don't need to believe it because Fox News does spin a lot of bullshit. However, my thing is, why do you think she went there and not other places? Either it's right or it's right. Crackhead Joe, what's going on? He said, Nameless, Dean Koontz wrote of this virus as far back as 2009, same name, same manufacturers. I'm not in favor of taking the vaccine Q497 until it has been fully scrutinized by the science, by the collaborators. Like if you have an institution that's developing the vaccine and testing it, until they have it conferred by other people in blind testing, I'm not taking that vaccine. Me personally, I would not take it. You can do what you want to do. But me personally, I ain't taking no vaccine that hasn't gone through trial. I already told y'all a lot of the vaccines are not going to be ready, or not even ready. They're not even going to be out of trial until fall 2021. They won't be available for manufacturing and distribution until probably spring and summer 2022. So what you doing taking the vaccine because they said you need to take it before you vote? So you're going to take the vaccine, go vote, and you're going to be dead by November or something, or sick by November, the end of November. You're going to be sick by Thanksgiving. You're going to miss all that good turkey and dressing. Psh, I ain't missing that turkey and dressing. Y'all can do what you want. I ain't missing the turkey and dressing and cranberry sauce. So y'all do what you want to do. What's going on? Nameless, he said the question becomes accountability. Yes, exactly. They knew it was gonna happen. Green Machine, what's going on? Go in the lab and make one for I don't have those capabilities. Q497, I don't have those capabilities. I know that, the ones I sent you about the black owned drug companies, that they probably could invest in those companies. That would be great. Yeah, because y'all gonna mess around, take that vaccine. I'm trying to get y'all not to get sick. I'm taking that vaccine, and y'all gonna end up missing out on the good old pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie, and all that stuff. Y'all tripping. You tripping, man. So I'm gonna leave this up here. Actually, I want to put this link. I'll have to go back and get the original link and put it in to the description box or in the comment section or something after the video. But what this is showing real quick is the accessory proteins sequence identity to other viruses that they have listed. So they have a consensus sequence. So when you're looking at these types of things, when it comes to genetics, everything's bottom up. You read from the bottom up and from the right to the left. Even though it says 1 here and then it's going up to 76, you read from the bottom up and from the right to the left. Okay, I hope y'all understand that. So the consensus sequence here is the basic genomic sequence that you should be looking for. That's your baseline, that's your standard, your consensus sequence. So everything above the consensus sequence should match it. However, with several of these SARS strains, you have mutations here. You got these are protein sequences, by the way, not DNA, but you have your consensus sequence that's based on genomic DNA, and they've translated it into protein, or transcribed in RNA, translated into protein. This is the protein sequence you would get from a standard genome sequence. These are mutations. 1, 2, 3, 4. All these are mutations because they don't match. They don't match. Okay. And meaning they don't match all the way through. Like right here, these don't match. This one doesn't even, these two don't even have anything there. And the dot actually means question mark, because it can be a hydrophobic amino acid or hydrophilic. The dash means nothing. Okay, so this deletion. And then you have, what is this? Tryptophan, I think. And then you have lysine, you have methionine, valine. So that's fine. These 3 are okay. That's valine. This one's a mutation there. And then here you have N, then you have Y, I think that's, or either tryptophan or tyrosine, maybe tyrosine. And then you have N. So these are okay, but this one's messed up. So none of them match completely with the consensus sequence, which is okay. But then you come down here, you have even more from the bat sequence. You have even more changes. And from these bat sequences, you have even more changes. They even have the date next to them. This is 2013, 2008, 2018, 2014. This one's 2011, April 2017, April 2015, April 2013, April 2015. All of these are mutations. I'm going to come down some more. Hold on. Let me get it. Let me see here. Come down a little bit more. I know it's a lot of words. I'm trying to get through it. But this is what we do. This is what I look at every day. Okay. A bunch of letters and numbers and sequences to try to figure out what the heck's going on when I'm trying to help a patient that has some issues, or, figure out what's going on in my cells. Let's see if I can find that other picture. Okay, here it is. So it's kind of hard to see this. I'm gonna have to leave the link because it's hard to see it sideways. But anyway, what this does is show how they could have developed this virus. That's what it shows. I didn't copy and paste it yet. I should have done that. But Please forgive me, y'all. So I'm just scrolling through that because that is important to note. When you get a chance, please look at that. It is a map that's telling you, a picture that's telling you how they could have developed this virus. Yeah, so I scrolled past that. Sorry for the inconvenience. But anyway, the possible scheme that they talk about is very important. And I want to also reiterate that this was able to occur due to policy. It was able to occur due to policy. It wasn't something that just somebody working at home or somebody working by themselves in a lab. No, it was very structured. And they give the scheme of how this could have happened in the laboratory. One thing that I wanted to note is here. It's possible that these military laboratories discovered other closely related viruses from the same location and kept some unpublished. Thank you, Doug. Thank you for that super chat. They discovered other closely related ones from the same location and kept them unpublished. Therefore, the actual template could be ZC45 or ZXC21 or a close relative of them. The postulated pathway described below would be the same regardless of which one of the three was the actual template. They tell you, she's telling you what you have to do. This is your methods, basically. Once they have chosen a template virus, which I talked about earlier up at the top, which is like consensus virus sequence. Once you choose that, you determine, how you're going to engineer through molecular cloning the spike protein so that it can bind to human ACE2 receptor sequence. Then they use molecular cloning to introduce a furin cleavage site at the S1, S2 junction of the spike protein. That is based on the knowledge. These are references, 60, 61, 65. They tell you how to do it. That would likely produce a strain of coronavirus that is more infectious and pathogenic, which means it spreads fast and it kills you fast. Third, they will produce an open reading frame 1B gene construct. The open reading frame 1B gene encodes the polyprotein open reading frame, or ORF1B, which is processed post-translationally to produce individual viral proteins. And these are the RDRP helicases, guanidine N7 methyltransferase, uridylate specific endoribonuclease, and 2O-methyltransferase. These are important for replication within a viral construct. If you don't have these, you ain't got nothing. And they have to be the right conformation, the right shape, the right structure. If it's not the right structure, it won't work. All of these proteins are part of the replication machinery of the virus. Among them, the RDRP protein is the most crucial one and is highly conserved, meaning that RDRP, RNA-dependent RNA polymerase, RDRP, is usually not mutated. It's conserved among these coronaviruses. It's not really mutated amongst coronaviruses. Dr. Zhengli Shi's laboratory used PCR to amplify the product, cut the product out, and then go and do what they did. So when BGS says that this is something anybody can do who has a CRISPR, not necessarily. If you have basic cloning capabilities, you can do this. CRISPR is not necessarily used because, first of all, CRISPR, when it comes to this type of manipulation, one, it takes too long, and two, you have to put it into so many cells. Over time, it loses its efficacy. It can lose its power. And so what you do is put it into like hamsters, rabbits, or rats or something directly. So you don't have to use CRISPR, because if you use CRISPR on an animal and then that mixture kills the animal, then you have no data. But if you put if you put it in cells, if it kills the cells, nobody cares. The cells, you can just throw them in the trash, like keep it moving. Nobody will know. But if you put it in animals, like people are gonna know that, because you have to have the right regulations, and you have to like sign animals in and out. You got to do surgery. You got to tell them what you're putting in the mice or the rats. You got to tell them what you're doing. If you don't want anybody to know what you're doing, you ain't gonna use no animals. I wouldn't. I would do it in the cell first. That's just me. Y'all can say what you want, but that's me. I would do it in the mouse first as preliminary pilot study in the cell first as a preliminary pilot study. And if I have confirmed that 3 times, then I move on with my statistics to establish a mechanism that I can do in mice. For instance, when I talked to AM1 and we were talking about the SARS-2 study on here, it was a synthetic virus particles they were using. They didn't go get freaking COVID-19 from the CDC and be like, hey, we're gonna bring this home and try it. No, that's not what they did. And then they come down. I'm gonna have to search for the word hamster because I can't find it. Hamster. Here it is. So if you want to optimize, I'm skipping down to step 5. So they optimize the virus for fitness and improve its human ACE2 binding affinity in vivo. This is 2.5 to 3 months. This is when you put it in different animal models: mice, hamsters, ferrets, monkeys. Hamsters are cheap, mice are cheaper. But hamsters give you better clarity on the tissue pathology. And it takes longer. So hamsters can match humans a little bit better sometimes with viruses. You can get them from Jackson Laboratory. You can type in Jackson Laboratory on Google and it'll come up. You can buy animals there on the website. I don't think so. Q497. It seemed that it was something that was accidental, but the development of it was on purpose. That I can say. And so if you come here, they say this is what they believe. They're saying it is noteworthy that based on the work done on SARS-CoV and human ACE2 mice, all those suitable for SARS-2 adaptation, it is not a good model to reflect the virus's transmissibility and associated clinical symptoms in humans. We believe the scientists might not have used a proper animal model, such as the golden Syrian hamster, for testing the transmissibility in SARS-CoV-2 before the outbreak. If they had done this experiment with a proper animal model, the highly contagious nature of SARS-CoV-2 would be extremely evident, and consequently SARS-CoV-2 would not have been described as not causing human-to-human transmission at the start of the outbreak. So basically it was hiding. It was well disguised from what I can understand. So yeah, from what we were saying a while back, I think I said in on Art of Idmore's, channel once, shout out to Art of Idmore, that if it was, it's not a weapon. If it was a weapon, it would be a lot worse. I think it was either on Art of Idmore. I know I talked on Art of Idmore about this because it was becoming an issue at the time. Like people were talking about it more. I ain't talking about CNN. I ain't talking about the news. I'm talking about people that actually do work on this stuff every day. They were talking about more and more. They were like, hey, this is, I don't think this is something that they wanted out. I don't think they were done doing their analysis and their testing on it. I'm trying to shop talk. I'm trying, man. Nameless said this would also explain how it can jump to animals, to humans, and back again as it's supposedly doing. Yes, so that was the thing they were saying at the zoo, that the lions had it, I think, and then they were worried about people's animals getting it, domesticated animals and whatnot. So the conservative nature, it is that's a conservative sequence. The conservative nature of that particular RDRP RNA dependent sequence that you have, that is what really makes it do what it's doing. That's what's really a driving force behind it, and because that's such a conservative sequence, that is making it hard for you to stop its replication and mutation over time. And there are other parts of the virus that I'm not going to go into. It's a lot. and I maybe come back later on today and talk about it more. Initially, I came on here to talk about this debate, but I hope that y'all can see, based on what I'm showing with COVID, it is man-made. It is not natural. From what the data is showing, they're giving you how it could have been developed, and it makes sense, and it matches what has already been published back in January, February, and even up until now. I mean, you got papers published like literally this week on COVID, still saying that it's probably a natural virus. And I was like, okay. But this all goes with politics. It goes with economics. It goes with social programs and the social aspects, healthcare, education. Clearly, people have their children in schools right now. We're going into a flu season. It just gives you something to think about. And for me personally, I prefer to listen to people that speak with clarity, that speak with a sense of they know what they're talking about, like a sense of what is the word? What's the word? They are not just intelligent, but they're what is the word? Like they're able to do the work. I forget the word. It went out of my head. But they're capable of doing the work. So that's what I'm thinking about. They do the work. They're capable of studying what's happening. They're capable of telling you what could be coming, even if it don't come next year. You're gonna be like, oh, it didn't come next year, so you was 100% wrong. And then 6 months later, your dumb ass is stuck. Okay, that means they was right. You stupid. Like, come on, man. So just be aware that these things are happening. As far as the virus, as far as all this other stuff, it is happening. I need us folks to, our folks to really like think. If you're having a debate about politics, I'm not gonna bring up a bunch of fat Black women. I'm not gonna do that. That don't make no sense. If I'm having a debate about whether or not this is a natural or man-made virus, I'm not gonna bring up the fact that, it's natural because all these other viruses we got is natural. What? That don't make no sense. That's silly. What are you talking about? Like it's natural because other viruses are natural? What? Or well, it's natural so we don't have to wear a mask. Okay, go on and don't wear your mask then. Go on outside and don't wear no mask and see what's gonna happen to you. Hey, you can come, you can donate, and make sure before you go outside and don't wear no mask, make sure you donate your organs to science, because they will be coming to me. I will be getting your organs, and I'll be like, let's do this analysis. Let me get your organs, because the dumbass organs, that's what I was gonna say. Here lies the organs of a person who was silly. Here lies the silly organs of a person. Go at it, and I'm gonna be analyzing it and looking at it like, what in the world were they thinking? Okay, please don't be silly out here. Please read. I'll leave this link. Let me try to get it and I'll leave it, but I'm gonna go real quick and see. Oh, thank you, Black Uru. He said, why are viruses altered in the ways you describe? They're altered in the ways I'm describing because they could be used as an expression if you want to express something, or if you want to treat something, or if you want to counteract a drug. That's why we alter a lot of these viruses. If now you can have your own opinion about why they would alter those viruses, because let's not forget, this is at a military laboratory. So if they were using it for nefarious purposes, then that would somewhat make sense. It's a military laboratory for defense. And they could be using it, they could have been designing it as a weapon or something. And if that's the case, like I said earlier, I don't think they were finished doing what they had to do. Thank you, Akateki. He said, when are people going to realize just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should do that thing? Exactly. Yes, you're right. If you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. That's true, because a lot of science is like that. You have two different types of science. That's one thing I wanted to say last time when I was talking to Nameless. You have two types of science. You have discovery-based science and you have hypothesis-based science. They're both driven by a question. One is a question that's original question. That's discovery-based, right? Hypothesis is based on previous information that you have gleaned from somebody else's research. Discovery-based is just you out there in the weeds and you trying to figure out how this something works. How does something work? And you have like really nothing to base it on. You just like, hey, let's see what happens if we mix this together. Okay, you blew up the lab. Congratulations, you dummy. And now you're going to jail. You know, like you blew up the freaking lab. What are you doing? You stupid as hell. You done burn everybody up. Like, come on, man. So there are controls and mechanisms in place to prevent you from blowing up the lab and turning the, Pinky from Pinky in the brain and blowing your stuff up. But at the same time, discovery based science is not as popular for obvious reasons. That's why they go into underground facilities, or they're into highly restricted black site facilities. DARPA, the HARP related science that's being conducted, not HARP itself, but HARP related science that's being conducted. And then the other side of it is hypothesis based or hypothesis driven science. That's what I do. My work is based on previous exploration and previous explanation. So there's exploration. You want to explore something, but you have to explain why you're exploring it and explain how it's going to affect the public health. You have to tell them, why are you doing this experiment? Because at the end of the day, they're going to ask you the question at BGS, and They Live asked the other day, so what? So what? Why are you doing this shit? So what? What makes you think you are so important and so special? Oh, you think you're a special snowflake? You can do this research? Okay. So what? Why should we give you $5 million to do this research, Nikole? Well, I'm a Hoodservative and I think it needs to be done. No, get your ass out of here. No, that's not why. You're going to say, give an explanation. This is something that would definitely enhance our defense weapons training. This would enhance the biomolecular effects of this particular weapon, a chemical weapon that our soldiers face in Iraq. And this is an injection that they would need to take primarily, before going, as a preliminary before going. So it needs to be set as a prerequisite, as well as, every 2 months they need to have this injection, and it needs to increase by 50% concentration. So they need to start with 1 milligram per mil injection. Then it needs to double to 2 milligram to 4 milligram every 2 months. Then they need to be tested to determine the titer in their blood. That's the type of thing that you'll say, this is going to help reverse the effects of a particular aerosolized weapon that's biological that we know is being used in certain areas of that country. Biodefense, for instance. That's an example off the top of my head. I ain't never did it, but that's just an example off the top of my head. Because I just work in the lab and do my little cells, and then they die, and then I do what I got to do to figure out why they died, and then I do my analysis, and then I don't really do as much, as y'all thinking. But off the top of my head, that touches a lot of different areas of human activity. Oh, thank you, Jabbar. I'm like, what? I thought you were talking to somebody else. I appreciate that. I'm just I ain't even worried about all, the sexiness, and, that is what it is. It's going to come. But I thank you. But, I'm worried about, doing the work. And like I say, you can go on my channel, look at the about page. I'm about the truth on here. If you ain't going to tell the truth, you don't need to freaking step up to the plate. If you're not going to tell the truth, don't step up to the plate. Stay in the bed, put the covers on your head, and, chill out. That's what you need to do, for real. But I'm gonna get off of here, y'all. I've talked enough. I got a meeting to go to in a little bit, and I'll try to remember to leave that link to that article I was talking about earlier. Let me try to find it real quick before I get out of here. Let's see. Let me try to get it from my email, so I can send it to you all and you can read through that, because there's a figure. I think it's the last figure that's kind of difficult to read sideways, especially if you've never seen that type of image before. But hopefully that would explain some things to you all. And let's see, I should be able to come back around, depending on how long he gonna be talking. Lord, this man be going on and on about his research. About 11 a.m. my time. So let me get that opened. Let me try to get it. I just want to put it in there before I leave because I want to make sure it's more than one place. I think that's important. And I'm also going to try to open up the panel later on. So if anybody wants to come through, as Bayou Bunny says, come through, y'all, come through. Shout out to Bunny. Come through, y'all. I just want to let y'all know this is Bayou Bunny. Okay, so this is Zenodo, and I'm going to copy their link, and then you can find it from there because they have the, here it is. There it is. Zenodo.org has the PDF embedded into their page. So if you click on that link, you will be able to go and see it. And you can also, you should be able to open it big on your screen as well. They have a link somewhere, might be at the bottom. Yeah, they have a link at the bottom where you can download it. You click on that link and you can download, or the button can download again and see it blown up the way I had it earlier. So y'all be good. I will talk to y'all later. Like I said, I'll be back around 11 o'clock and we'll see what's up. If you guys want to come through, let me know. I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great day. Please be safe. Peace.